You're listening to the Actors Resource Podcast with Aaliyah Lay, a podcast for actors and improvisers with interviews from entertainment industry experts.
So today on the Actors Resource Podcast, we are so lucky to have Marti Mongiello. Marti is a double master's degree holding actor who has appeared in over 100 television shows on 3 continents. As a former White House chef, his greatest stage was American State Dinners, where food became his script. After achieving a 30-year military retired certificate and nuclear submarine service, Marti started shooting inside the president's cabinet for streaming and showcases. All the president's menus with Hail to the Chef playing in the background. As a polymath and polyhistor, Marti also has interests in being a polyglot, which has led to using a dozen accents on stage. Truly a classic actor starting in plays and an entrepreneur, he has moved into creating a new network with 8 shows called The Presence Network, and he's making shorts. So thank you so much, Marti, for being here with us today.
Thank you. I'm just trying to have fun.
Me too. Fun is good.
I'm just pursuing the things that interest me.
Yeah. So specifically, because you are literally certified a genius, but we're just going to streamline this particular podcast down specifically in terms of not even necessarily about your acting, but about your success and progress as a chef, a White House chef, inside the president's cabinet and your network that you've created. Can you start with how you first got that idea? And I'm sorry that because your life is super amazing and complicated and in depth, and we're only focusing on a tiny part of it right now.
Yeah, I got bit by the presidential bug as early as 1992. Alia, I was interviewed and told you could work, for the White House military office. I had been in the military about 9 years at that point. I was 27 when I was selected. And the weird thing during that interview was, they said, we're not going to have you cook at all. We already received numerous letters and phone calls from admirals' wives, and you're known all over, the Eastern Seaboard. So no cooking tryout. This is all about your family, both sides of your family. And can you pass through a top secret clearance with presidential touch to physically touch the president of the United States repeatedly throughout the day, make drinks. So, the proverbial silver chalice, the person bringing in the silver chalice and saying, "Here you are, Your Majesty." And the king says, "Did you drink from it?" "Yes, I did, sire. It's good. Really, drink from it right now in front of all of us." And the person throws it on the floor and runs off. And of course, the guards grab him and kill him immediately, right? As obviously there was something in there. You got to be cleared to be back there behind the bar making drinks for the president and all of his friends until 2 a.m. So very important. That's how I got the job. That's how I got bit by the bug of serving the presidency. And about a year and 2 months later, about 14 months later, longest HR investigation I ever went through, Alia. I was told, "You're okay, you're cleared for work. You've got a top secret and come on up." So I drove up to Washington, D.C., of course, and started doing the work every day.
So it took over a year after your first initial quote interview? Wow.
Yes, it's a long investigation into both sides of your family.
Wow.
Yep. And so that's what got me started. And of course, after a couple of weeks of working in the White House, I told People magazine this in May. I was in People. I was scared shitless for 2 weeks. Scared to death.
You don't seem like you're a person who gets scared about anything, but that's okay.
I was 27 at that point. Today I'm 56. I'm a little bit wiser, but I was scared to death, girl.
Yeah.
So, I didn't know if I was going to be found on the side of the road like Vince Foster or who knows what. I had all types of crazy born identity things going in your head. Everything you're walking around, the nuclear briefcase, all types of security, retinal eye scanners, palm scanners, all types of stuff, you're underground in the nuclear bunker, you're doing duties down there. Now the next day you're working with the CIA for poisoning prevention. And then the next day you're working with the Army for decontamination of the first family and how to go through that and do that because there's been a dirty bomb blast nearby. Yeah, all this stuff. I mean, it's like, dude, this is really heavy, bro.
Whoa.
This is some heavy load, serious ass stuff. Okay. Nuclear launch in 4 minutes. 30 minutes. I mean, you're listening to all this stuff through speakers, people running around, we're going through drills and practicing stuff. And you're all part of that. And you're saying like, I thought I was just coming here to cook, man.
Right.
I thought I was going to be like flipping steaks. So they're like, no, you're going to become a bartender. You're also a housekeeper. You're a butler. You're a military aide, and you will work inside of the nuclear world underground. You're going to have a lot of responsibilities. So I was a chief. I made chief while working at the White House military office. So it was a heavy load, and it left a permanent impression on my mind. So a lot of those stories, without breaking the top secret code of anything, is what I do on Inside the President's Cabinet. Mm-hmm. I talk about a lot of things that people are terrified to bring up.
Yeah.
Or they're afraid they're going to lose their job, or they'll get declassified at the State Department, or get kicked out of the NID or the CIA, and since
Sorry.
National Intelligence Directorate. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the clearinghouse in the United States now for, all the stuff. So used to be the CIA was the toppity top, but now it's kind of NID, a new facility that we created, a new faculty in America. So, that's where I have a lot of fun. I talk about all these things, and I make sure I'm talking about things that have never been covered.
That's cool.
So, and since I don't work for any government agency, nobody can really threaten me with all types of phone calls, and we'll have your ass strung up from the ceiling in about 8 seconds. No one has been able to do that. And so the stories have been getting out.
Nice. That's so cool. Oh, and what made you decide to first of all, how long were you working there as the chef for the presidents?
Yeah, so I stayed until 96.
Okay, so that
1996.
Is
it's just a 3-year tour. If you're in the military like me,
okay,
you do your 3 years and you move on. And for folks that stay there their whole life, it's kind of a career killer. They were offering, I had calls regularly like, hey, man, we don't want to lose you. If you're bored at Camp David, why don't you come down from the mountain? We'll have you work at the White House, Marty. The president loves you. The Clintons will call the Secretary of Defense themselves. I was like, no. Don't do that, because it's a career killer. And you get viewed by other warfighters as a pussy. You're hiding in the White House. Instead of going back out to the fleet, instead of going back out into the jungles and into the deserts, you were hiding like a pussy boy, with your little tea service and silver teapots. And we had people like that I know to this day. They stayed at the White House, Alia, for like 10, 15, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's terrible to see that they retired as an E5, a very low rank, or an E6, and it's affecting them to the tune of, millions of dollars in their pension that they're never going to collect, because they were never able to advance in rank.
Okay. So you chose, after your 3 years working as the chef at Camp David, is that correct?
Yes, I was the executive chef there and one of the managers of the resort.
Okay. Wow. Okay, cool. But you decided after the 3 years to move on rather than continuing in that direction.
Yes, I went back to the fleet, back underwater.
Wow. Okay. And you decided that because you had a goal, a different goal in mind? Like, what did you have in mind? The
Yeah, I had the pedigree of being a warfighter, unafraid to go to sea, which
mm-hmm.
it's amazing how many people in the Navy are afraid of going to sea.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to leave their families for months at a time and half a year and 8 months. And then it turns into you're going to be out for like 14 months and babies are born. And so they don't want to do this. And they're not a true warfighter.
Mm.
So in the military in America, the more diversified your career is with, Asian service, European service, desert service, sea service,
Mm-hmm.
I have over 8 years at sea and over 6 years overseas service,
Mm-hmm.
so, and I was only in 21 years, so that alone right there is almost 15 years of either sea service or living overseas.
Wow.
So, and I moved 26 times in 21 years across 3 continents.
Wow.
It was pretty damn rough to move 26 times,
Yeah.
So the Mayflower truck, that 18 wheeler that pulls up
Uh-huh.
and they give you a $20,000 moving allowance. And for 3 days, it's boxes with tape and all these men loading.
Uh-huh.
I mean, 26 times in 21 years
And I had
across 3 continents.
that's wow, that's a lot. You were dedicated for sure. Because you could always leave. You didn't have to stay.
I wasn't getting paid squat.
And you weren't getting paid.
The money that we make in the American military is dog meat money. Wow. There's people in LA I've talked to, they're like, dude, I'm making this war flick about World War II, but I've looked at what you make as a, principal military advisor for this film. And Marty, I wouldn't even get up out of bed for the denigrating amount of money that people in the military in America make. It is sick.
Wow.
It's next to nothing. I mean, it's scrapings.
Yeah. So what made you decide to stay? Because you could have done anything, right? Obviously you could do.
I'll be honest. I pissed off a lot of people every 4 years, Alia. When my reenlistment would come up, I went out and was on job interviews. I had resumes typed up, and the old crusty lobsters would find out about it. They're like, what the hell are you doing? We heard you're out on interviews.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm weighing all my options, bro. You've been in like 8 years. You're a lifer dog. I'm like, no, bro, I'm out on interviews. I'm going to make my decision in about a week. Thank you for your comments.
Yeah.
And I just, it always ended up, I stayed Navy and I figured, I'm going to get my life pension. If it's the last thing I do, because that's the big payoff. That's how the American system has been so successful. We only use humans predominantly medically in the range of 18 to 38. And once the human reaches the age of 38, medically, we get rid of them. The bodies can't perform any longer. So, and it's amazing. You go out on an aircraft carrier with 5,000 people and it's, filled with 20-year-olds running around. And it's like, how the hell do they know like how to launch this F-18? Who taught them this? The kid's 20.
Yeah.
It's like we have a very successful system. Now, when I lived in Europe, oh my gosh, I would go to meetings all the time. My friends from the other NATO countries would tell me, yeah, it's not like what you have with you. You're from, here I am 54, Marty, and I, I'm hoping I get my pension. I retire at 65, Marty. So we don't have like the same system that you do. You get to retire at 38. We don't do that here. We run people into the ground physically here. And I'm like, holy crap, you gotta. And I come to find out on Earth, of the 205 countries, we're really the only one that has this system that uses humans for the 20 years. And at about the age of 38, you're gone.
You're officially retired.
Yeah,
Oh.
so we have a very young, powerful, strong, agile, capable battle force, and a lot of people are trying to figure out and unlock how does the United States do what it does with the most powerful battle force on earth? What are the secrets that they do?
Yeah.
They're trying to figure this out, and it's hard to replicate in other societies. It's very difficult. You can't just,
Yeah.
oh, well, we would do it here in France, so we would do it immediately. I'm like, no, you won't, because in your MRE package, the MREs that the Marines eat, yes, the MRE, we have an MRE here, Marti. Also, we have also the same version of the MRE. I'm like, yeah, in the MRE, you guys actually have faux gras. You have a little tin of faux gras that a Marine is eating in the desert. Faux gras in the MRE, bro. You're never going to be able to do like what we do. You'd have to get rid of the faux gras out of the emergency rations. You'd have to get rid of that. We cannot get rid of the faux gras, Marti. I'm like, you're never going to be able to do what we're doing. Okay.
Yeah. Well, what's an MRE?
The meal ready to eat is the dehydrated food.
Oh.
And it's like one day's ration in a poly bag, and you'll often see Marines, squeezing peanut butter and eating like beef stew out of a squeeze.
Yeah.
And you're like, what are they eating? They're like, oh, they just handed out a case of MREs to everybody. It's dinner time. And it's all like squeeze packages, squeezed Jello and squeezed beef stew. It's kind of like space food. Well, the French have faux gras in their MREs.
Yeah. So it's different. It's different.
So it's definitely different.
Yeah. Okay. So you stayed until you could retire when you were 38. And then what made you come up with the idea of creating your show inside the president's cabinet?
Well, I had always acted on stage since a very young age. I grew up in what I consider to be the Von Trapp family of America. Everyone in my family was required to be in plays, to sing, dance, build sets, paint, direct, produce, learn lines, produce and be in a couple of shows per year. It didn't matter what mom and dad told you, you were going to be in the show. So, you just did whatever you were told to do. And progressively, the child was groomed to take on, acting and lead roles in acting, so, I think I grew up in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I think my biggest role I ever did, I won a best supporting actor for the Eastern Seaboard. I played Grandpa, the lead role in You Can't Take It With You.
Congratulations.
It was like the longest running play in Broadway history. And they just remade it. It ran again for like another 6 years. So that was a very interesting part. My dad would make tapes for me to listen to study. And then he had a brace that he put on my leg to make me limp like an old man. And I had to wear that around, So it was part of growing up like that as an actor. And so I have always been prolific at speaking, talking, being unafraid on stage. The number one fear of humans, is not actually going into a dark cave and meeting a massive spider that's going to eat and kill you tonight. It's not about going in and meeting Darth Vader. I'm your father, Luke. Okay, it's actually talking on stage. The number one fear of humans. And I was like, I'm good at this. I eat this up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I think I like being mysterious. I think I'm David Blaine reading a Stephen King novel inside of Area 51. I actually like being mysterious. Yeah. So part of that mystery then was taking all the secrets of the presidency and unlocking it and presenting it. So since I had the presentation down and all of the experience of working with the first family, that's 6 presidents I've worked with now, starting with Biden in 94 and George H.W. Bush that I was hired by, all the way through. I never thought Biden would become president. I mean, he's almost 80 years old.
Yeah, I mean, in what capacity did you help them? Because unless everyone goes to your bio, can you
Yes.
explain? Because there's a little disconnect. Like you were working here as the chef, but then you stopped and then you went back into the force and this. So how did you end up working with Biden and
Yeah. So
okay.
he was a great guy. He's always been an advocate for childhood hunger and ending it. So in 1994, I went to the Rayburn building in Washington, D.C., and I was asked if I would come, representing the White House as a chef. And I said, of course I would. And I brought one of my chefs with me. And that was Childhood Hunger Day. And so in 1995, we had a massive Childhood Hunger Day on the exact same day of the Million Man March. And we fed shelter food, dehydrated food with Chef Paul Prudhomme, was probably the most famous chef that was there, and Dr. Dean Ornish of the Preventive Medicine Research Institute in Sausalito, California, was one of our speakers. I asked them, could Dean Ornish be a speaker? And so they said, absolutely. He's like super famous, Dr. Ornish. And so that's how I first came in contact with what is now called President Biden, on childhood hunger issues. And he passed through a lot of legislation that year benefiting children in the United States. We took from 1 in 4 children per night in America goes to bed hungry down to now it's down to like 1 in 3. So we think that still is bad. Okay.
Yeah, but better.
Yeah, but better. So, and I have tirelessly worked in shelters all over the earth. So, and I know you and I have talked about that. So Biden, that was my interaction with Biden, the first interaction. Other ones, Obama, President H.W. Bush, President Bush, they have sent things here for the United States Presidential Culinary Museum, which I built and own. It's very, very famous. And then, you get involved with these presidents with different issues. One of them with Obama, I worked heavily on veterans issues for the VA home loan.
Yeah.
And how unfair it is and unjust it is to veterans who are not allowed to use it to open up a small business. So there's problems within the law that say any veteran that wants to empower themselves or open up a small business is forbidden from having a VA home loan if the domicile is being used for more than 25% of the square footage for the small business. So, and then, I had like several, when I started my bed and breakfast, I had several appraisers from banks call me. And they're like, yeah, I'm supposed to come out there to appraise this home today for a VA home loan. I looked it up online. Is it operating as a bed and breakfast? I'm like, yes, it is. I come back from the deserts. I started my own business. I've hired people. I've produced millions of dollars, $250,000 in taxes I provided to my state that never existed before. I won't be coming. I won't be coming. I need to get off now. Goodbye, son. The next one would call. Are you running like a business in there? I'm going to come in there with a laser and measure every room. So it was like denied, Alia, denied. Okay. And that's the message that we're telling veterans.
Yeah. Marty. Oh, you froze for a second.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
You did too.
That would make sense.
But that's the message we're telling veterans today, that is, if you come home from the desert and you think you're going to lift one finger to empower yourself, you can forget it. Don't do it. Okay. We don't want anyone creating wealth for themselves. Okay. And it's pathetic. If you look at veterans with the VA home loan after World War II in Korea, it was almost 60% of veterans opened and started their own business. Today, with the number of veterans who are killing themselves, because it's going up again.
Oh, no.
It's going up to like 23 per day that cap themselves in the grate or put a pistol into their mouth. The girls mostly take pills in nonviolent ways. Most women do not use handguns and stuff to kill themselves. But we have many women veterans killing themselves now, okay? Thousands and thousands and thousands. Today, entrepreneurialism for veterans it's 4%. Because they changed that law after Vietnam. no one is allowed to start their own business. So it's something with President Obama that I've been working on to try and get changed.
Yeah, I would think that it sounds empowering.
Yeah, I mean, I had, it's crazy. One guy mentioned to me, he's like, if I come there and I see anything on the cars, the bumper stickers for Mary Kay or Tupperware, I'm going to measure the whole house with a laser. If I see the Mona V Juice sign out on the front lawn or anything that you're doing like Herbalife or anything, I'm going to measure every room, sir, with a laser.
Oh my God.
I'm like, dude.
I don't know why I think that's funny. I have a weird sense of humor.
Don't even come here, bro.
Yeah.
I had to get a commercial loan. I had to get an SBA 7A loan, which, you know, it was 3% above prime. Forget about the nice rates of the VA home loan. That went out the window.
Why did
every time prime would go up in the Wall Street Journal every day, it's 3% above prime was your new rate, your new monthly payment.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, I paid off that loan 22 years early. Thank God. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank God our guests loved us so much at the bed and breakfast, but it is really hard to do anything for yourself. I'm like, why would you want to give a veteran a free home with no money down on a VA home loan? There's no jobs. There's no jobs. So you're going to jack them up on a home loan, but then they can't find a job to, no wonder they kill themselves. Okay. There's no wonder they want to live in the woods. Okay. Everyone's trying to go out to the woods and get the veterans out of the woods. There's over 10, 20,000 of them living in the woods. And I'm like, good luck until you change this law, you know, where people used to come home and they would build like an auto mechanic repair shop in the back in the garage. We had women that came home who were wax and waves from World War II. They opened up a salon in the basement with 2 chairs. Some ladies want to do acrylics or French nails, you know, anything they could think of to make a little business and get something going.
Yeah.
You know, well, it's all discouraged. So it's like, okay, you guys keep doing what you're doing, you know, until you fix this law.
Yeah.
This issue is never going to change. And President Obama has been really helpful with that.
And what's going on with it now? I mean, I know we're a little off topic now, but.
Oh, no, it's fine. It's about the presidents and things I'm involved in. And, you know, so one of the crazy things he did was he opened up the first Facebook utility in history where regular citizens of the United States could Facebook the president. And I think I was number 3, they said, that he answered. And so an inquiry into the VA was launched about the VA home loan. And I still have that letter today, and I'm still working this issue and proliferating it to try and get a change, because they're really scratching their head. They've been throwing, you know, an additional 1, 2, an additional $3 billion at the VA, more money than I've ever seen for the VA, the largest hospital system in the United States. And they still can't fix why people are killing themselves, you know, and it's a lot, because since I went in 1983, I've lost about 1.3 million colleagues at my company that I worked at have killed themselves. So that's pretty scary. Like if somebody was to say that to you, like, oh no, God, no, don't go to work at Sony in Burbank. All those people end up killing themselves. It's really weird. Oh yeah. But it's like 1.3 million have killed themselves since I first started. And you would be like, 1.3 million have committed suicide that worked at Sony in Burbank?
Right.
Since 1983?
Yeah.
What the hell is going on at that company? Why are they doing it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, no, I don't want to work there. No. I'm going to take the job offer over at Universal.
Yeah.
It's horrifying figures. It's a terrible company to work at. You know, statistically, something is going on.
I wonder if transcendental meditation might be helpful in the meantime, as the
Absolutely
law changed, you know?
They just have started accepting. We have the first female president in history for AMVETS, American Veterans, AMVETS. And her name's Jan Brown. And she started advocating and pushing for yoga at the AMVETS posts and other funded programs, holistic programs that actually benefit and help people, welcoming families into the post. It's not just a watering hole to get drunk and poured into the back of a cab, 5 nights out of the week, where you bury yourself inside of a fifth, you're absolutely right.
Well, thank you, Marty, for making headway on that.
Those are just a couple issues that I've worked on with these 6 presidents. Yeah, they're all different.
Yeah. All right, so back to I think the original question was like, what made you decide to create the your show Inside the President's Cabinet? And then and you already answered that, actually, because of your combination of talents, experience, knowledge, right? So that's great. We are coming up on time a little bit. At this point, where can we see Inside the President's Cabinet? How can we follow you or find out more about you? That's the first couple of questions. We're gonna wrap up with another question or two, and but first,
so I hide out at InsideThePresidentsCabinet.com. There are all of we're going into season 4 now. We just started with Paul Brandis. He has spoken at 7 presidential libraries. He authored 4 books on the White House and the presidency. He also sits as a trustee on our board at the museum. And Paul has worked for about 25 years in the White House press pool as an accredited, correspondent. And he's with West Wing Reports and, previously, of course, lived in Moscow and reported for major news stations, the top 3 networks, and decided to come back and live in the United States and do his thing at the White House every day. So he kicked off season 4 at InsideThePresidentsCabinet.com.
Nice. Is there anything else that you personally would like to promote?
No. I mean, I am excited about doing that short my first short. As a fake producer.
As a fake producer?
I'm trying to enter into the world of film.
Yes.
One of the ladies I just interviewed, Jody Binstock, there in Los Angeles, is way ahead of me. Jody has done stuff for Lifetime and the Snow Globe Christmas, and of course Netflix and ABC. And so I'm trying to figure out the world of making a film. And
you?
No, she's not mentoring me. I just interviewed her for another show that we run. It may interest you to know. So she was fascinating to interview, and I got her laughing. I said, well, now that they got rid of Harvey Weinstein's casting couch, we can all relax when we go in to try to get a part or try to get a gig or try to pitch a job. And, maybe we won't be kicked out of every office like Stan Lee was and told, this is childish and idiotic, Stan. It's children's comic books, and we're not going to make a film about it. Okay. So, it's like those days of having to do sexual acts to get a contract, to get a part, I think those have pretty much been stamped out.
I sure hope so.
I certainly hope so. Les Moonves was really disappointing. He contacted me and wanted to run with our series Inside the President's Cabinet. And he sent a crew here from CBS to film. They did 4 filmings here, including a sizzle. And then the next thing I know, Les Moonves is arrested, or damn near told you're going to be arrested if you don't leave the building. So, and then he left the building from CBS Worldwide. And the next thing they're saying like his $80 million golden parachute, they cut all the strings to it and he crashed hard into the earth and he's not getting his money. So there went that whole series. And it was just a real shame because we were super psyched when they came here from CBS to film.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah. You're like, we got it.
I told my wife, I'm like, babe, it's Les Movies from CBS Worldwide.
Yeah.
And then, they're like, Mr. Moonves has been escorted out of the building. It's like,
Right.
damn it.
Right. I don't know the outcome. Like, I of course heard about it, but I was surprised because I don't know. That's
Yeah.
I mean,
I always say,
but Les Moonves, I was so really?
Yeah, and Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby for sure, but
20, 30 women come out and say, look, he touched me, he fondled me, he raped me, he drugged me. It's like,
yeah,
maybe 3, 4, 5 women, and they're all lying. Okay, maybe. But dude, it's 20, it's 25, it's 30 women. Please give us all a break out here. I mean, I have a 10-year-old daughter. I have a wife that I love, my mom. What you're doing is disgusting. Yeah. Okay. You need an orange suit with shackles and to hobble back and forth, with the leg shackles too, please. That's what you need.
Yeah.
So hopefully all that's gone and
Yeah. And I hopefully it is. And at least most of it is now awareness, and things are changing for the better.
Yeah. Because that's all we want to do as men and women. We just want to go to work, earn a loaf of bread, put a loaf of bread on the table. No one's looking to have 6 Lamborghinis and 3 private jets and a half fractional island that they own in the Seychelles and, perverse behavior, of all this stuff.
Yeah.
A loaf of bread and we're good. John Duddy, the famous prize fighter, told me 2 weeks ago, he's like, I'm just really appreciative for the work. That's it. That's So
for don't get me wrong, I would not complain about getting 6 Lamborghinis or blah 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 blah. But
neither would I, but I'd have to give at least like 5 of them away to the Toys for the Children campaign or something.
Yes.
Yes. And by the way, Charles Wachter just contacted me today. I know I was introducing you to him from Holy Moly.
Yes.
Yeah, he just wrote me back on LinkedIn today. So he's having a lot of fun doing Holy Moly and Fear Factor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's got some great shows, man.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, Marty, that another network, if that's what you want, will come to you for the Inside the President's Cabinet. So that would
hope so.
You mentioned real quick that some of the fun parts of Inside the President's Cabinet is sharing really fascinating secrets about the presidencies, like all throughout our history. And you told me a story earlier, which I found fascinating, about Betty Ford. You said you wanted to share a clip. Do you have a clip?
Oh, yeah, I have a clip for her if we want to share screen here for a second.
Okay.
And we'll do it. In fact, why don't we do it with the audio and we'll optimize for video clips. So I always tell people, make sure you click where it says, optimize for video clip. Can you see that okay over there?
I can see it. Let me see if I can turn up my light a little. Wow, okay. That's so much better. I guess this one will be a video, even though I do not have any makeup on.
Oh, that's fine. I've got my big mouth open. It looks like someone's getting ready to ram a banana into it.
Bananas are delicious.
All right, let me see. I'll just put it on for a second. Let me see if the audience out there and you can hear the sound.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. Chef Marti Mongiello again here at the Presidential Culinary Museum. And all right, can you hear that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. This is not long. It's only a couple minutes. I'll put it on. We'll have a few laughs, and then we'll talk about it after.
That sounds good.
Today, we're going to take a look at Betty Ford, one of my favorites, on Inside the President's Cabinet.
I think your short hair, Marty.
Yeah. My hair was short. Look at that. You know, Betty Ford is one of my favorites in today's day and age with Time's Up and many things that I have supported financially, as well as my wife. She is extremely outspoken, and you can see her here smiling with her husband, Jerry, and their dog. Jerry played football, you know, he was an NFL, almost, he was offered 2 contracts in the NFL. That he sent to me when I retired. Martin, excuse me, but I think somebody may have put a cigarette butt into an angel's hands out in the dining room as a joke. I think maybe a guest did it, Martin. And they'll come into the kitchen and get me. And I have to tell them, oh my gosh, no. The First Lady of the United States did that. Don't worry about that. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, oh, you didn't read the thing? Isn't she a scream up there on top of the table in the White House?
Yes. Libation.
There's a placard up on the wall about the First Lady used to smoke. She would go out onto the brand new balcony, the Truman balcony, and she told the New York Times herself, I did a devilish thing. When I would come back into the yellow oval living room, I would take one of my butts and put it into an angel's hands on a vase, and I would put them in there. And if you had to live with Richard Nixon's aseptic furniture that he left behind, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars with brand new furniture, and there was pretty much no way that Jerry and I were going to get brand new furniture. So not after all of that expense that they had authorized. So, and Betty often would march in Now for you young ladies today, and ERA. She was at the front of those marches, and people were aghast. Her girlfriends would even pull her aside and say, how can you even be out there marching with all of those women? I mean, honestly, Betty, it's so inappropriate. And she really did not care, guys. And Sheila Rabb Weidenfeld will see the cigarette butt one day and mentions it to the First Lady. There is a cigarette butt in that angel's hands over there, First Lady. I put that there every day to see if these housekeepers have noticed it. It's amazing that you saw it, Sheila. It's very interesting. Yes, she said, oh, yes, ma'am, you're putting that there every day. Do they know about it? Well, no, of course they don't know about it. I'm waiting to see if they see it, okay, if they notice it. Yes, so somebody might have tipped off the housekeepers on our staff. Remember, I was a butler, a housekeeper, a chef, also a bartender, and a military aide, okay? So somebody might have tipped off amongst my friends that, the First Lady's targeting you guys upstairs. You might want to, yeah, okay. So that doesn't last forever. She's not doing that forever. This is well published in books like The Residence, and Betty herself mentioned this in a huge article, beautiful, in the New York Times, that she did this. Often people have wondered, well, I wonder why she smoked and drank and took pills, because she did have a pills addiction also. Okay? And if you are receiving over 100 letters per week attacking you and the president for the filth of your Christian behavior, and many of the letters, guys, there's only so many that can be read, okay, therapeutically by Betty, and there's many of them that one has to go to the service. Send that one's threatening, that's actually threatening bodily harm, that goes to and yes, this is a huge problem. What are the letters so angry about with Betty? Why is she drinking? Okay? The letters that are coming in, people are very, very, very pissed off that they are sleeping in bed together. Can you believe the gall and audacity? And Betty inflames the situation and says, well, I think that's very popular for husbands and wives to sleep together. There's billions of us on this planet. And why don't we issue a formal response to that to the press? Have this typed up. It's just going to be one sentence. And people in the press get the official response. Okay, so this is on the First Lady's letterhead. It says, well, just one sentence, is the president supposed to be a eunuch? Question mark. That is her official response, okay? And she says, this is not the Dick Van Dyke. How's that for an answer, Alia?
Wow, she is bold. I love it.
Is the president supposed to be a eunuch?
Woo. Yeah.
We're not going to go back to having the separate bedrooms and okay? I don't think we're doing anything that's filthy within Christianity or anything like that, okay? This is just normal behavior between adults, okay? And we're married and in love with each other, so. Also, the letters mention things like, this is a fake president. Not a single person ever voted for this man to become president. Let me tell you something, Alia. These things are so outrageous. I have had people attack me and tell me that I'm stark raving mad or need therapeutic care myself.
Wow.
The level of fraud that I have dreamed up of this outrageous stuff that I'm proliferating never could have happened. And they go back and read the New York Times and the various references. I warned our filmographer and producer, you better put the references from the newspapers up in this footage and highlight them, because people think that I am in need of therapeutic care, that this stuff never could have happened. And so that's why we're doing that. The United States. And within history, a lot of our students today are wondering, how is it possible for a person to become president of the United States and never have been voted in, okay? Don't forget, the vice president was offered to either resign, Spiro Agnew, or to be arrested, okay? So he is already gone, and that's how Jerry came in to become the vice president. And you armchair historians out there who are wondering how this is possible, especially all of our young friends and colleagues, this is some fascinating stuff to look up. Now, I do want to mention, bear in mind that Betty knows that she is a drunk and has a problem, and she will later on say in speeches up on stage that I cleaned myself up. I had a family intervention in the living room one day. It was about a year after Jerry and I left office. I said weird things like, how am I a drunk? I never fell down, stumbled, or said anything inappropriate on stage, not even once, okay? And also, I never finished a whole bottle by myself. So how do I have a... Becomes the first CEO of a wonderful thing on earth. It is called the Betty Ford Clinic, and it is going super strong these days. Do you know that it is the Hazelden Betty Ford Clinics all across the United States? And if you have a challenge in life or a problem, if it's opioid addiction or drugs or drinking or sex or whatever it is, if you're a rock star, a politician, a musician, or an actor, you have a place to go now, and the public is quite accepting. You know, if you just honestly say, I've been having some problems, I may have an addiction, Thank you, Betty. I'm putting myself, I'm going to the Hazelden Betty Ford Clinic. So be thankful for Betty Ford that she had the strength to do this and to come out and to help people.
Thank you, Betty.
And to put herself into rehabilitative therapy. And she does restore and clean up her entire life. So be thankful for her. Thank you for joining us and celebrating a wonderful hero, Betty Ford, here on Inside the President's Cabinet.
That's great.
So I'm going to turn that off, but yeah, what a story, right?
Yeah, that's amazing.
What a woman. And can you
never hear any of this, right?
That's what I always say. You never hear these. Nobody is, they called me one day from Trigger Street Productions with Kevin Spacey. They said, we're really interested in what you're doing with the Screenwriters Guild, Marty. And we realize you have all the filings for anything to do with the presidents, and you have done all these filings. So we don't want to violate anything. But we're very interested in talking with you. And as you know, House of Cards has been super successful. Yeah. And they just bought the rights for one of my friend's books. It's called The Residents, which went straight to the New York Times #1 list. It sat there for several weeks.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, Kate Bowers Anderson. So I was like, wow, man. Yeah, I mean, come on, Trigger Street. Let's do it. So they call me, they say, I'm like House of Cards for all the presidents. That's what they say.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, give me your elevator speech in less than 1 minute. I'm like, it's only going to take 8 seconds. I'm House of Cards for all the presidents. Done. They're like, that was only 6 seconds, bro. I'm like, I'm sorry. Okay.
2 more seconds.
It's like that easy. The Addams Family.
No, that is clear. That is crystal clear. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, Marty. Thank you so much for being our guest here, and
Well, thank you.
really appreciate you. And everything you've done for our country as a veteran too.
Absolutely. Keep charging.